Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Cube Learning's Train the Nation webinars. We will be looking at leadership and management in more depth, so we'll take you through the presentation today. So just some brief introductions. My name is Jordan Commander. I work within the Cube business development team. I've been at Cube now for roughly 18 months. I've got about 6.5 years experience in the further education sector.
Hi, my name's Kate Kirby. I'm also joining you today. My role within Cube is a leadership program manager. So I specialise, and my team specialises in the leadership and management programs that we run. I've got over 20 years experience actually running strategic management roles, and I moved into education over 10 years ago. So look forward to telling you a little bit more about leadership and management.
Lovely. So I'll just give you a brief introduction to Cube Learning. We are a grade 2 Ofsted training provider. We do have a number of different areas that we specialise in, which you might not be aware of. So we have Cube WorkFit, which is our pre-employment courses. We also have Cube Traineeships, and they're based up in Bradford. We have a hub in the city centre. Cube Learning is our apprenticeships offering, and obviously today myself and Kate will talk you through the various qualifications we offer around the leadership and management. And towards the bottom there we have 2 new areas that we specialise in. So it's Cube Vision, which is our e-learning solution. Again, there is a slide further down that I'll just briefly introduce you to Vision and talk you through that. And then we have Cube Talent, which is our recruitment section of the business. We do recruit apprentices, but obviously we also offer general recruitment at all levels of the business. A little bit more about Cube. We've probably got well over 200 staff now based throughout England. We support around 3,500 apprentices across a number of sites. As you can see on screen, it's just over 1,600, I believe. And we are one of the largest providers in the country, and we're also ILM approved. And also, as you can see, we are a top 10 training provider on Rate My Apprenticeship. So on screen now, you can just see an overview of some of the employers that we work with. We deliver a number of the leadership and management qualifications into all of the employers on screen, and also a number of different employers as well. So on the screen now is just a bit of a case study from, as you can see, Tanya Taylor. She was one of Cube's students. She's based and works for Connections in Wakefield. She's recently just completed the level 5 operational qualification. I'll leave it on the screen for just 20 seconds rather than talking you through it. I'll just let you have a quick read. So moving on to apprenticeships, I believe Kate is going to talk you through.
Yes, everybody, I'm going to pick up with you and talk you through leadership and management in particular, and look at the apprenticeship offer that we have available for you. What is an apprenticeship? Just to give you some insight, apprenticeships, and we will come on to this in a little more detail when we look through what we call our steps to success, covers all areas from entry through to senior management, which allows you the opportunity to complete a level 3, 4 or 5 apprenticeship with us. In those specific areas, we work on design the apprenticeship to suit the sector that you're working in. As you can see, you need to be working more than 30 hours a week, and what we look at doing is really focusing that blended approach to delivery to capture the work within the workplace. Working on a combination of conventional study materials, online training, mentorship and practical learning within a online classroom environment. So what does apprenticeship involve? And I think it's really key to understand whatever level of apprenticeship you're embarking on, there's 4 core elements. So what we particularly focus in on is the knowledge, skills and behaviours when it comes to leadership and management, but we also have to incorporate functional skills. So if anybody's entering that apprenticeship arena that hasn't achieved a functional skills at level 2 or above in maths and English, we will support you in doing that as well. What we do at the very start is we conduct an initial assessment with you. It's really critical at this point that we assess where you're operating at from a maths and English point of view. If you think of leadership and management, there's an awful lot of communication and an awful lot of data analysis in there. So we just want to know the starting point so we're able to support you in the most appropriate way. All apprenticeships include the embedding of fundamental British values and safeguarding. And as managers, it's really important that you're aware of those skill sets and be able to identify those people either in your team or in your organisation that might be vulnerable. You will complete the apprenticeship within your working hours, so we will work with you and as a student and with the organisation to put together an appropriate programme to make sure that that can be met, and I'll talk you through that in a little more detail later. We continuously review your progress throughout the programme. You will see your progression on an ongoing basis and how you're working towards the completion of that apprenticeship. There's a couple of terms here that I just want to explain to you which are clear in the give some clarity to the apprenticeship context. A gateway is when we get to the end of the delivery of the programme and we ascertain with the student and their mentor or line manager that they're ready to complete the next point, which is an endpoint assessment, and that's where you will be assessed by an external provider such as an awarding body. It's probably the best way to describe, and they would award you with your apprenticeship going forwards. So one of the key things that I think everybody wants to know is the benefit of undertaking an apprenticeship, and I'm going to look at this twofold. So I'm first going to look at it from the student's perspective, and there's some great data here that gives some really clear clarity about what you get out of undertaking training at this level within leadership and management. We get some great feedback. We've got 85% people here saying that the qualification has led to lasting change. It's led to them developing as individuals. It's given them support to grow as managers. It's really important that we see this as an evolving programme at all levels for leadership and management. The next statistic's really useful because I think we can often find that people move into managerial roles because they've been successful operationally, what we want to do with the apprenticeship and particularly focus on those people undertaking leadership and management apprenticeships is identify those skills gaps and those areas of development, and they're often in the softer skills side of things, so those behavioural side of things. So we really focus in on those within an apprenticeship, and we're seeing a real positive result with people completing that they're feeling that their managerial skills have led to them managing change more effectively and managing their people more effectively. And the next point, which I think is key, is about career progression. The great advantage, and we've got some amazing case studies with students that we've worked with in the past, is that they have seen that they have progressed their career by undertaking the programmes, and it's allowed them to develop and nurture that career successfully. And finally, that sense of purpose is really, really important. Often we can be in managerial roles, as I said, because we've been very successful in doing the operational role, but this gives you that sense of purpose, the sense that you're doing things in the right way. You've got some credibility around and confidence around how you are operating as a manager. So as well as benefits for the students, there's obviously benefits to the employer for upskilling and uptraining people in this area. What it allows you to do is create a really clear succession planning process. So we work closely with our employers to identify the right people to move on to programme. We can give a lot of advice and guidance about how to take different approaches into succession planning, which leadership and management qualifications would be tailored to the right person going forwards. The next point is that we can really clearly see, as I've mentioned, that the process sees a substantial cultural change within organisations. Lots of organisations are having to work much more agile, and we're seeing behavioural changes through the use of apprenticeships that is helping steer organisations in the direction that they want to go. The next point is, as I mentioned, it helps reduce that skills gap and identifies those softer skills which are often lacking within organisations, and that's clearly been shown by a lot of research, but it helps them do that. It increases productivity. We see that people are working smarter, not harder. We get people looking much more strategically at the operation of a business, and it helps overall business performance moving forwards. And what fundamentally, as an employer, you're wanting to go and see that return on investment. You're investing in the time for your apprenticeships to train as well as the funding, and we see a substantial increase over time of that return on investment linked to productivity.
Lovely, thanks, Kate. So there's just quickly touch on some of the incentives that have been announced recently by the government. So as you can see on screen, from the start of August up until the 31st of January 2021, anybody who then goes on to an apprenticeship qualification, you can see below the age brackets, is then eligible. The company is eligible for the grants effectively. So if you're 16 to 18, it's £3,000. If that student is 19 to 24, it's £2,000, and anybody 25 plus is £1,500. And these are any levels. So this can be a junior level, somebody coming into the business at a junior level going on to a level 2, but it can also be somebody coming into the business and going on to their operational departmental manager qualification level 5. The employer is still eligible to receive the incentives that are available anytime from now right up until the end of January. There's a number of ways that apprenticeships can be funded. So if you're a non-levy payer, you can co-invest with the government. So effectively you pay 5% of the overall cost of the training and endpoint assessment, with the government funding the remaining 95%. That can be made payable to Cube in a number of different ways. That can be paid in a lump sum up front. It can be paid by almost a number of different payments. But yeah, that can be discussed with Cube. But that is a way, to fund the apprenticeship. Realistically, since the start of this year, certainly since the start of COVID, Cube have formed a number of links and networks of organisations who are happy to transfer their levy funds, and they've committed to transferring funds to organisations that we work with who don't pay into the apprenticeship levy. So basically we can utilise any sort of funding that they have available to transfer, which means then it would wipe out the 5% cost for SMEs. Obviously, the last way to fund the apprenticeships is for any organisation who pays into the apprenticeship levy. So I'm pretty certain that, you know, if you're paying into the levy, you'll understand the amount that you are paying in. In terms of paying for qualifications, it's just a case that we link up on the on your digital apprenticeship service, and the funds are just taken on a month-by-month basis, as we, you know, agree the price for the training and the endpoint assessment.
So what I'm going to talk to you about next is how we go about structuring an apprenticeship, particularly for leadership and management. So as an organisation, we work collaboratively with you as clients to create the right approach to the apprenticeship delivery that suits your organisation and your people. We take very much a blended approach in that respect, which is and that enabled us to be very versatile in delivery, so we can accommodate face-to-face delivery where it's appropriate, remote delivery, and we have online tools such as Cube Vision that we can tap into to support that development during that apprenticeship programme. We also really focus in on creating what we call off-the-job training log. I do like to refer to that as the student's CPD while they're going through the programme. So we will be recording that and monitoring that and facilitating that in conjunction with clients and with the client and the student. So when it comes to programme design, we work, as I said, very collaboratively to develop an integrated learning system that works for your organisation. We look at embedding principles of basic training, so we will work in partnership with a leadership and development programme if you've got one running, to see how that would map in across the apprenticeship, so we can look collaboratively about how we integrate internal training, and that will constitute some of the 20% off the job that I've just mentioned. We build a delivery model that fits you. We can look at delivering either in a group environment, a one-to-one environment, through face-to-face seminars, tutorials and virtual learning. What we will do is build the scheme of work that meets the apprenticeship standard that's required and integrates things that are bespoke to your organisation. We create individual session plans or lesson plans that capitalise on the resources that we have available that you can utilise through our virtual learning environment or VLE. We will work to embed, as I mentioned, business interventions that you have in place and contextualise the learning to the work environment that you're in. So we'll work in partnership from that point of view. So the programme design is there to ensure that we meet the endpoint assessment criteria required, and we can utilise a toolkit of resources that we have available. So to talk you through sort of the student journey and the employer journey and how this would all start, obviously the big part at the beginning is for us to get to know you as an organisation and understand your needs and requirements from a leadership and management development point of view. That will allow us to work collaboratively with you to develop the right programme for you and design that to meet your needs, but also meet the apprenticeship needs. We will agree with you a roadmap, and I'll talk to you through a roadmap in a little more detail so you get an idea and a flavour of what that looks like. And that roadmap will be in place, and we will throughout periods within the apprenticeship programme we will be reviewing that to make sure that it's going in the right direction for you as businesses evolve and change. Once that's all been put in place within that agreement, we will look at rolling out the programme and working collaboratively with you on what communication you want to what communication you need involving, how we're going to engage those people who are interested, and and work with you to make sure we get the right people on the right programmes. You will have a dedicated account manager who will do regular reviews with you, and your allocated tutor and my team will review the performance on a regular basis, and feedback to you about how things are progressing. We love celebrating success. And we have our Cube Awards events, and we often organisations arrange their own internal graduation events, which we love to be part of, and celebrate that success going forwards. And as I said, once we can review the offer and look at what new products are available to you on an ongoing basis. So from a student perspective, once you're on that programme, you've been given the right advice and guidance to make sure you're on the right level of programme, whether that's the operational departmental management programme or the level 3 team leader supervisor programme, which is very much a frontline manager programme. We would identify which one's going to be the best for you. You would complete an application. That would then come through, and a occupationally competent tutor would complete a skills assessment with you. That skills assessment allows us to ascertain whether you've got any prior learning in any of the areas that we're going to cover, and it also helps us individualise the training plan for each person that's on the programme. Once that's been processed and we've identified that is the right programme for you, you're on the right programme, we'll complete your enrolment, and at that stage we will go through your functional skills assessment, which is a requirement of the apprenticeship for all students attending. That will ascertain what level students are operating at for maths and English, and allow us to identify any support needs that need to be put in place. You'll then commence that learning journey programme, and you will engage with your tutor, who will facilitate and work as a coach and a mentor as well. You'll have an internal mentor within the organisation, that could be the line manager, and we will do regular quarterly reviews with that line manager on your progress to ensure that you're ready for what we've referred to earlier as that gateway meeting that will determine that you're ready to go through to endpoint assessment and complete the endpoint assessment criteria for that particular apprenticeship, and then hopefully successfully graduate. So just wanting to take an opportunity to talk through our steps to success, and I'm going to particularly focus on the dark green areas on the slides here for leadership and management. So as Jordan mentioned earlier, we start from pre-employment right up to degree level apprenticeships. So the leadership and management qualifications start at level 3. As I mentioned, the level 3 leadership qualification is very much for that frontline leader manager. So somebody who's in that frontline operational leader manager, and then that takes you, we have the alternatives to that at level 5, which is the operational departmental manager. And what's key with an operational departmental manager is that they should be operating strategically. They should have a strategic influence over the business and in the strategic implementation over the business. We also then have the opportunity to work in partnership with the Open University for anybody who's interested in degree level apprenticeships at level 6 or above. So this is an example of an apprenticeship roadmap. So what we've got here is the example actually of the level 3 leadership programme, which is the team leader supervisor apprenticeship. So you can see that you would be inducted into the programme. You'll be given all the information you need about how that programme will be structured, when your sessions would take place, what resources are available, and on a monthly basis, you will be having contact with your tutor to take you through the 10 key elements that we look at in regards to leadership and management. So the first key elements that we start looking at is actually you as an individual, as a manager. So we get you to be quite reflective at the start, and then we come back to that at the end and review it. But we ask you to identify your own self-awareness, how you manage yourself, that and then enables you to become an effective problem solver and lead a team operationally. We look at the financial controls that you might be responsible for, and when we talk financial controls, that might not be a monetary budget. It could be a budget of managing hours, overspend, resources, and things like that. So we will talk you through how you manage and set budgets from that point of view. What is critical to both leadership and management qualifications is project management. You will be asked to produce a project on both qualifications and work through a project during the programme. That will form part of the presentation back to the endpoint assessment organisation and determine your final grade. Linked into that throughout those first few elements will be how you approach the difference between leading and managing people. We mentioned one of the key identifiers was the soft skills that people need to develop. So we particularly look at that in relationship to leadership and management, relationship building both internally and externally, and communications. That then takes you through, once you've pulled together your portfolio, your gateway review meeting and endpoint assessment. So I've mentioned some qualifications while we've been going through some apprenticeships. So I just want to talk to you about some of those apprenticeships that we work through with some of our key clients. So I mentioned the team leader supervisor apprenticeship, which is at level 3. And to give some context to that, most of the organisations that we've worked with have used that very much, as I said, as a frontline leader programme. We have the opportunity to undertake the associate project manager apprenticeship at level 4. What I would like to say is that is very much a technical apprenticeship rather than a managerial apprenticeship. So you need to be working within a project management environment. Operational departmental manager at level 5 is that one I said that's you need to be operating at a strategic level in implementing and introducing strategy. And then we have the chartered management degree at level 6, which we work in partnership with the Open University to deliver that. So it's one of the things we can do and work with you is identify which programme would be right for which members of which employees within the organisation.
Thanks for that, Kate. So just as I briefly touched on towards the start of the webinar, and I think Kate briefly again touched on it in terms of Cube Vision. So Vision is our new online course offering, and we've got a number of different courses on there. And again, we use this to support some of the apprenticeships that we offer. And to look online through the catalogue, there are a number of different elements that you could look at for the leadership and management aspect. And we see Cube Vision as a bit of a, as you can see on the screen there, it's a bit of a solution to learning on the go. So realistically, with an apprenticeship, you would have a tutor. They would, as Kate mentioned, they would come and have visits with you each month, and they'd almost be, not set in stone, but it'd be a visit each month by that tutor to deliver the teaching required. Whereas obviously our online offering in Cube Vision is a bit of a, you can log on as and when that you feel you need to look at something, or when you have maybe half an hour here and there. You can log on and pick up a different module, as you see fit. I'll just quickly talk you through a number of additional support support that we have at Cube. And I guess my role as within the business development team is to work with the clients that I do to offer this support. So pretty much, as you can see on screen now, is the account management aspect. And Kate obviously touched on it earlier in terms of the employer sort of roadmap. So within my role is pretty much to offer the progress reviews. I discuss with the account management side of it from the client's perspective. I send the monthly reports, deal with any sort of queries, constantly review the needs of the business, and offer them support in terms of engagement days and anything that they might need away from the teaching aspect would be where my role fits in effectively. So for a number of different clients that I've worked with, we have our marketing team, so we can put together various different bits of promotional sort of booklets or posters. You can see a few examples on screen there for John Lewis and JD, etc. And like I said, we have a couple of weeks maybe turnaround, but our marketing team can pretty much pull anything together and make it relevant to your business, but also dual brand it up so it's delivered by Cube, but it looks relevant to your business and the department that we are looking to promote into. So I think we've touched briefly on engagement days. So again, as part of my role, you can see on screen there's just a couple of pictures from engagement days that we've held, and I held some earlier in the year pre-COVID to discuss with students, give them some information, talk about the programs, just go a little bit more in depth as to what they would expect, the type of commitments that they would need to offer for the program, and that's something that as a company and myself, I'm more than happy to do. And that can be for students looking to enroll, and it can also be to potential mentors and managers. So we can outline at the start the commitment that they would need to make. I think Kate's also done some in the sense of the leadership and management scenario that she might just be able to add onto that.
Yes, so thanks, Jordan. Yes, when it comes to leadership and management, that role of a mentor is quite key. They often open doors for the students to get access to areas that might be a stretch for them in their development. So what we've done in the past is run management awareness webinars where we can introduce the programme to the managers on what their role within the apprenticeship looks like. So as a mentor, what they will contribute and how they will support the student on programme. And then we've also run student awareness webinars for students to ask questions and just get a deeper understanding of how the apprenticeship would work.
Lovely. So as you can see on screen, I think myself and Kate have probably touched on it in terms of celebrating success. And there are a number of things that we like to do, not just at the end. I think the next slide is around our annual Cube Awards ceremony, but we do a number of various employer awards and student awards that we ask our tutors on a monthly basis to nominate. So it's not a case of just wait until the end of the program to highlight somebody who's a standout student or a standout employer, where we're constantly looking at ways how we can celebrate the success. And our marketing team look after all our social media posts, and again that they're often posting for students and for employers, for anything that we feel is deemed to be a success. We do like to highlight those across a number of our social media platforms. In terms of the following on from celebrating success, there are some pictures, as you can see on screen, of our Cube Awards from 2019. Unfortunately, the Cube 2020 Awards were held virtually due to COVID. We did have a video to share with you on this, but sometimes the audio doesn't always play. So I believe, though, if you do head over to our YouTube channel, there is the full video from the 2019 awards, if that's something that you do want to look into. And I think that takes us to the end, and I think Luke might have some questions for us.
Yep, we had a few questions come in. The first one, you referenced off-the-job training in the presentation. What does that entail exactly? What sort of examples have you got of that?
Okay, so I'll pick that question up. Thanks, Luke. So what we mean by off-the-job training is anything that's above and beyond your daily job. So off-the-job training can take various forms. So it will consist of the sessions that you attend with your tutor while on apprenticeship, but it would also be things like stepping up for your manager if you've been asked to go to a meeting and cover for somebody, because that's above and beyond. That might give you a developmental opportunity. It could be shadowing. It could be down to the fact that, especially when it comes to leadership and management, that you might have listened to a TED talk on a new mentoring process or motivational theory. So it can take various forms, your off-the-job training. So it's anything that's above and beyond your daily duties, basically. So hopefully that explains it in a little more detail. We have some amazing examples when we run through the skills assessment that we can specify for each student.
Right. Excellent. The next question. My manager has suggested I enrol on a leadership and management apprenticeship, but I don't know what level to do. Can you help sort of give a run through of each level?
We can indeed. So what's great about having the 2 levels of leadership and management qualification is we're able to pick the best one for you. So we often find that people have the technical know-how and the technical skills for their industry, but from a management and leadership point of view, they might be new to it. Or there might be an area of development, and they're working, as I mentioned, in that frontline leader role. I would suggest that people would be taking on the level 3 apprenticeship qualification. And if they're working and operating at a more strategic level, running quite complex, diverse teams, then I would say they would be more suited to deliver to taking on board the level 5 level. But what we do is, when we are performing the skills assessment, is we will identify the right one for you, and the initial engagement that we do with clients, we will start to ascertain and understand the organisation so we can tailor that for you.
Right. Excellent. I think that's answered our last question as well, actually, which was what's the difference between the level 3 and 5 qualification, which I think you've covered. So that's excellent. That's all the questions.
Lovely. And I think there's only, if I'm right, Luke, there's one last upcoming webinar, which you can see on the screen, is our professional guide to mentoring, which is in a few weeks' time. So Tuesday, the 10th of November. So I believe if that's something that you want to sign up for, you can. Yeah, that's another one for you. And that's everything. Thank you.